Welcome to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. And that guy sitting right over there next to me, not really next to me, but it looks like he's next to me on the screen, is former offensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills, former first-round pick for the Buffalo Bills, former legend of the game for the Buffalo Bills, John Fina. John is joining us just like he always does for the show. We're going to break down some film, but before we get into all of that, we're going to, or do me a favor rather, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this vidcast on, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Please like it. Please subscribe if you can. Leave us a review or a comment. That'd be great. If you're listening to this in post as a podcast, same deal. Please like, please subscribe, please review, please tell a friend. With that, John Fina, how are you, my friend?
Oh, Joe Miller, so happy to be with you. I am conflicted, though. This Bills loss was horrible. Thank God I didn't have to watch it. I got to listen to it on the radio, so I didn't have to pour acid into my eyes. But on the flip side of that coin, holy cow, I went out to Durham and watched Bruno and the the Duke Blue Devils take down UNC, first time in 8 years, and that's their big rivalry. So that was pretty cool. Absconded with the bell and rang the bell. So, a little bit high, a little bit low, Joe.
Well, speaking of highs, before we get to the lows, last week, as I said a moment ago, you got to be the legend of the game, and you were gracious enough to allow me to hold on to your ankles as you dragged me around the entire day, and I filmed a lot of it. Why don't you talk just about that experience real quick? I was emotional for you, and I am not an emotional guy. I've posted some stuff that's out there, but I would love to hear just kind of your thoughts and just kind of how that day went for you.
Joe, I'm going to flip the script real quick before I talk. Why don't you tell me, how did it feel being on the field with 55, 80,000 people? What was physically, how did that feel?
There is a lot of things that I could say about how it felt that would sound personally like, oh, he's making it all about himself. So I don't want to do that. I will say this. I was in the moment with you. So for me, being there amongst the crowd and the fan, seeing the players come out of the tunnel, seeing people shout your name, all of that stuff, and then the whole entire ordeal, and then hearing the crowd reverberate back. I saw one person on social media or Twitter someplace say that it was the loudest they had heard that whole sequence, and I would agree. But I also normally sit in a different spot, so I don't, it's not something I'm used to as far as being down the field. But it was a tremendous experience being on the field. There was a great deal of I don't belong down here. Who's going to throw me out? Luckily, I had a wristband, so nobody was going to throw me out. But it was wild, man.
Well, that was mostly my point. The difference between being in the crowd and being a participant with, arm in arm with Bills Mafia, making the noise. When you're down on the field, it's definitely, the sound reverberates through you. Yeah. And it is exhilarating. It is electrifying. And, some people might say, it was the loudest they ever heard. Whatever. I think it's Monday night game and Bills Mafia is amped up. So I might take 0.01% of the credit. I was just thrilled to be there. It was so much fun, man. I just, get my hands on the microphone and get the crowd riled up and just, for a hot moment right there, I was back in the gear, getting ready to play again. And as good, Joe, as that feeling was, this last night, that is diametrically the opposite feeling. So take what you felt in that moment and now just pour it all out and be an empty vessel, because that is what it feels like to be a player after a loss last night. Just the other E words, excruciating.
Right. It was a game where seemingly, I don't want to say a lot of things didn't go right for the Bills. They got beat, and I made the comment on the postgame show with Jerry last night that I didn't feel like they got the brakes beat off them. And people are challenging that statement in the comment section on YouTube. And what I meant by that was we watched the Bills beat the brakes off the Jaguars. The Jaguars didn't even look like they belonged on the football field. And I felt like the Bills were at least competing, trying to compete. There were some errors. There were some issues. There was a moment in the game where they did have a chance to pull within a score. I felt like I don't feel like those two defeats, the Jaguars defeat, the Bills defeat, were the same. Now, it doesn't hurt any less for us as Bills fans, but I think what's surprising to me is the amount of people like jumping off of the bandwagon. Like the siren has been rung, the flag has been raised. Like, Houston, we have a problem with this football team, and I don't know that I'm there. I did a show earlier today. There's a lot of season left.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be there, Joe. This team is 3-1.
Right.
And we knew that the beginning of the schedule was going to be rough sledding, right? So we're 3-1. That was certainly not an exemplary performance by our beloved Bills. But, I was part of 2 Super Bowl years where we went out and came out flat and lost to the Raiders in LA. Now, we didn't get stomped on the scoreboard.
Right.
But when you looked at the film, you were just kind of like, ick. It was just uninspired. And I think what we experienced last night was a little bit of a combination of, I don't think the defensive game plan was terrific. The offensive play plan, we won't know because when Josh had time, we didn't have guys getting open. And he was throwing the ball away very smartly and maturely, which was really cool to see. Our running game was not bad, but by the time, we were getting ready to gel, we make a horrible gaff on a trick play, and then you're out of time. So you're not really going to be running the ball a whole lot. So yeah, I agree. I mean, it wasn't turnover laden. There were key performances that just didn't happen on the defense. There were key performances across the offense that didn't happen in time. I will say that the Ravens put together one hell of a plan, and they played it out really well. And that's not to say that they should win the game. It's to say that we need big players to make big time plays in big games. And we didn't have that. Somebody's got to rise. And that's another kind of Marvism. Big time players make big time plays in big games. Yeah. We didn't see any of it. We didn't see any game altering plays.
Yeah, this game felt to me like remember the Titans, right? There was one game that they played, and the one dude was like, "This team doesn't have any heart." Like the guys that they were playing, they were just so big and so physical, they were just beating them up. And I felt like that's very much kind of what was going on. They had the game plan the Ravens came in with was great. The one the Bills came in with was probably not as good. There were some execution errors here and there. There was obviously some blocking assignment errors. I'm excited to see kind of what you've prepared for us from a film watching situation, a breakdown situation. I feel like this team is going to respond, though. Now, does that mean they're going to go out and they're going to whip the Texans this weekend? That's not what I'm saying, but I feel like you're going to get a better effort from them this weekend than maybe what we got last week. And short week two primetime games in a row, coming off a huge win against the Jaguars. There's a lot of factors at play.
Yeah, they will find some inspiration. Right. Yeah. And if they don't, then you got to start scratching your head. They go back to the drawing board. And that's what we're going to do here. But first, thanks for everybody in the chat there. Richard Rush, Pops Mafia, Matt Cavenda, some other people that scroll up that I don't see, but thanks for coming. If you would like to recommend a friend to come back and watch the videos that I'm about to show, please do. I got about 5 plays. I'm going to take a little bit of time on about 3, and the last 2 are just going to be out there for your consumption. Take and do with them as you please. So, Joe, what do you say? Should I just pull one up right now? Should we just get going? Let's set the stage. Buffalo Bills come out, first drive, end up punting. And the Baltimore Ravens literally put one play together that they didn't run the entire rest of the game. That was perfectly executed. And I think a new play like that right out of the gate, when your expectations are to see split zone or power or zone, either inside zone or a wide zone, and not get it, caught our defense flat-footed. They didn't have a play to get loose, get oiled up, however you want to say it. And this is the result. I'm going to see how well I can do this. Let's see if I can pause it. Right here, what you're going to see is I basically call an inside trap. All right. So if you come back to the alignment, you got the wing, the right tackle is going to block out. The left guard is going to block the shade nose, and the center is going to climb the linebacker. I'm going to pause it again right here. Okay, Dorian Williams is out of position, right? That's our first problem right there. We get a good trap block by I think it's Picard or the whoever's in that position there. We get a stalemate at right tackle. Now, the next thing that has to happen is we have to have run support come down and be accurate. But you're going to see the tight end slide right up and get face to face with our safety right there. Now we have a gap. Now we're down to one player. Okay, that's the corner. And we are in a real problem here. He's got to have outside contain, Joe, so he cannot fly in there, because if this bounces out, he's got to have contained. So he's in this really awful position of having to balance outside leverage and attacking downfield. He's a step late, and we just get big Derrick Henry with a head of steam, and he's out the gate.
Yeah.
So really beautiful play design by Baltimore. I don't think I saw this formation again during the game. They didn't run this play again, but it was absolutely devastating and perfectly executed. Dorian Williams really has to fight to that outside. He takes the inside leverage position right here. The center pins him, and it just gets worse from there.
The way that Derrick Henry picked his way through the line too, right? Bounces to his left or right, bounces to his left, bounces back out to his right, and then takes off. It almost had a walk-through feel to it. Like normally you don't see in an execution of a play at full speed where the running back is that, I don't want to say nimble, but has that kind of ability to be like, oh, nope, nope, and then gone. It was impressive. And then obviously once he's out the gate, you're not going to catch him.
So it's Dorian Williams really who's got to hit the fill on the right shoulder of the guard. That's really where this play met its demise. And Dorian's got to, you see that big gap between the corner and Dorian. That is where we really lost it. So that's play number one. And I got to say, it was a great play. I had to go back and look at that. And once I saw it, I thought to myself, wow, that perfect timing, perfect execution, and damn, Derrick Henry. And look, we'll say this a lot. You take away that run and three others, and Derrick Henry's a regular guy.
Yeah.
And that's what he has done to us historically. Until he gets ahead of steam, he's a 2 to 3 to 4 yard guy. But look out when he gets that head of steam.
Yeah, he's very much a 2 yards in a cloud of dust kind of dude until he hits that one for the big one, right? Yeah.
Right. And this is just, damn bad luck here. Baltimore runs a version of split zone where the left tackle blocks out to the defensive end. And really what we're going to see here is the motion tight end ends up getting a twofer. And that's what hurts us. So here we go. We block out. He squeezed. Okay. They run it from this formation. Right here, you get this lead block that pins or basically cuts. I think it's Daquan Jones. The running back breaks off of it. But watch what happens on the cut block. Bang. He slides into the feet of Dorian Williams. Dumb luck, Joe, and that's why we play the game, right? That's why we line up and go face to face.
Right.
Good play made better by a twofer on the block. But this play we run. This is Spencer Brown pulling across the formation or Deion Dawkins going the other direction. The way we beat this play is the linebackers have to react like Dorian did. But again, just dumb luck right there. Just ends up getting, you could say leg whipped. They're never going to call it because he's on the ground and it's not intent. And he scuffles off for about 6 or 7 yards, but that's really what plays are designed to get. So tough one there. Let's show an example of how you can stop the split zone. Now, this might be a little misleading because the field is compressed, right? Because the ball's inside the 5 yard line. So safeties are playing up. Nickel corners are playing up. So there's less concern about dropping into your zone. But basically the same play, okay? It's going to be motion across the formation. Split zone. Here comes the tight end. But instead, what we get is our defensive end crashing hard at the puller. We're getting fill from the secondary in both positions. And I didn't point this out on the other play, Lamar Jackson's fake is not good here. What he should be doing is when he gives the ball to Derrick Henry, he should be rolling hard right out to our right as we look at the screen to try to hold the run support. But he doesn't. He floats to the left, and that gives our basically secondary no responsibility for outside leverage. We can collapse on the play, and it's a dead play at the spot. I'll run through one more time. Motion across, tight end pulls, doesn't do a great job on the kick out. We defeat a couple of blocks up front. And again, we didn't beat a lot of blocks up front in this game. It took us too long to get going. And by the time we got going, we were too far behind. Everybody says it. I won't be the first. I won't be the last. In this league with guys like Zay Jones, right? With Isaiah Likely, with the quality of
Zay Flowers.
What'd I say?
Zay Jones.
Zay Flowers. Yep. Apologies to Mr. Flowers. You got to start fast. You got to get on top of them. And we did not do that. And we suffered because of it.
Yeah. Don't feel bad. I called Tremaine Edwards on the show that I did today. So
I think at this, this stage of grief, I think it's forgivable that we make a couple of errors here and there. And I think the players realize it's no disrespect to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then here, I have to talk a little bit about Spencer Brown's pass set. Spencer loves to go on a flat, aggressive pass set. And as a long arm guy with probably 86, he can probably do that, 86-inch arms, right? In this instance, I'm okay with the set. But when you do that, you have to get long, Joe. You got to get your arms out. And what he does not do is, you can see, I'll freeze it right here. That left hand, it goes for the bear hug. Right now, the left hand needs to be on 53's inside shoulder.
Yeah, punching him.
Punching him.
Yep.
I'm okay with the set. That's his mantra. That's his gig. But if you're going to do it, you got to get long, because when you don't, when a guy bodies you, you have no ability to recover. I thought this holding call was a little soft. I don't think he really held him. It is what it is.
Connor McGovern looks like he's holding 92 pretty well.
Not really. That's not quite a hold.
All right.
I wouldn't say. But I kept this one short. I just want to show right here at the inflection point, where however you set, whether it's flat and aggressive or whether it's vertical, at the inflection point where your length meets that shoulder pad, that hand has to be out. And I get why you don't, because when you shoot them out there, you're exposed. When you're wide, you feel like you can hold the world in your hands. And this did not work out.
Gotcha.
Sorry?
I'm gone.
I hit the wrong button, my friend. My apologies. Your question?
You removed me. No, I was asking.
Get out of here, Joe.
I was just asking more or less what the percentages are. Like, how often does a tackle set like that wide, thinking they've got they can hold the world in their arms, versus being super aggressive and getting that punch in there? Can you talk through that a little bit? I don't know, maybe not.
So I can. All right. So this set to me is perfect for play action, for 3-step drop and throw. I was never a fan. My skill set wasn't cut out for a jump set on drop back. He's been having really good luck with it against some good football players. So I'm not saying he's using the wrong technique against this guy, because it worked quite a bit in the game. And this play, the holding call, not so great, but effectively, he held him up enough for Josh to leak out. I'm just talking about the technique.
Gotcha.
For me, I was more of a vertical set guy, shoulder square to the line. Spencer, if he's going to do this, you got that 35-degree angle with your shoulders to the line of scrimmage. That's okay, but the hands have to go. And even if it's not an inside move, Joe, the right hand is equally in a bad place right now. So if a 53 goes upfield, you want to have the right hand on the outside shoulder. Now, there's some talk about independent hands, strike with one, not with the other, but one at least, and neither were struck with here.
Gotcha.
And go ahead.
No, I was just saying, no, I was just going to say that's interesting. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, offensive line play philosophy is deep. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. You have to decide what your best technique, your strengths are, and apply them in a very rehearsed and reproducible manner.
Gotcha.
And he has been doing that. But again, I mean, it takes faith, belief, and you got to really hold back the fear to throw those arms out. And he didn't do it on that occasion. And I'm not here to pick on Spencer Brown. I love him. I think he's a great football player. I think he's doing great things for us. I'm just this is my jam, dude. I'm bringing up clips. I could have chosen a bunch of them, and the next one, AJ Epinesa, my man, you cannot get reached in a 9 technique by a tackle. This is something that just cannot happen to you. And he doesn't want to look at this film. So here's AJ Epinesa way out in space, right? He's up over Picard in a 9 technique. Ronnie Stanley has no business reaching our guy here, right? No business reaching AJ Epinesa. But in fact, that's what he does. This is wide zone. It's either toss or Peyton Manning wide to Edgerrin James handoff. But watch Ronnie Stanley where he impacts AJ Epinesa.
79, right?
Yep. He's got him. That's bad enough. But then he evens him up. Now he's dead. Now that right hand from Ronnie Stanley is coming right up underneath the pads, and he's got a pull and a hold on him right there. So Ronnie can keep working his hips around. Now, the beauty of this as an offensive lineman, he doesn't have to hold that block forever, right? He has only got to hold that block till about there. But that should never happen to you if you're in a 9 technique.
Yeah, once the running back hits full speed, you can let him go because you're starting from 0, right?
That's right. And 15 is Isaiah Likely, right?
No, 80 is Likely. I don't know who 15
You're
is.
right. I apologize to Mr. Likely.
No
But
worries.
again, whomever's playing this edge position for the Bills right here, up over 15, my man, you got to have a leverage position here. This is leverage defense right now. You look at the position of Epinesa, you look at the wide 3 technique, who I assume is Ed Oliver, and you got Rousseau standing up or Von Miller out on the edge. We're trying to force them to come inside just by virtue of our alignment. And on the right side of our defense, on the snap of the ball, we gave up leverage within 2 steps. Bad things, Joe. Bad things.
So literally the defense is telegraphing to the offense, hey, run the ball up the middle. And meanwhile, they don't. They actually they're in a almost a bad set, right? So they're looking at the defensive alignment and going, we're running to the left. They're giving us the middle of the field. Is this play going to work? And then sure enough, it does. Well, he ripped off 20 yards on that play, 25 yards.
If that play went for no gain, what I would have said to you is we lined up in the right defense and they had the wrong play.
Right.
And the fact that it worked, that's a painful play to review as a player.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be in that meeting room saying, I hope this meeting ends before we get to that play.
Doug from Twitter asks the question, John, as a player, how would you get over a loss like this?
Everybody talks about the goldfish now, right? Because of Ted Lasso.
That's right.
And
be a goldfish.
You get to feel the pain through Sunday night. Monday morning comes, then you get the physical pain. Then you're going in, you're icing every part of your body. You're taking the anti-inflammatories. You're getting in the jacuzzi. You're getting your massage. You're getting your acupuncture. By noon on Monday, or by the time this film ends, whichever time it ended yesterday or today for these guys, at 3:00 or 2:00, you reach into your ear with a corkscrew and you pull that game out and you throw it away. And you focus on what you need to do to get better. Coaches are the same. They can't keep looking backwards. Now you have to look at some of these formations and decide if you think that the team you're going to play next has the type of personnel or the type of scheme where they can adopt something that's successful and just be knowledgeable about it going forward. But if you're going to be looking back on tonight's game when kickoff, and I'll be there in Houston, you're in a bad way. You got to pull that out and get rid of it. Whatever your technique is. I don't know if you got to climb 100 steps to see the Maharishi, or you got a mantra, or you go see Father Kavanaugh down at St. Joseph's Church, whatever it is, man. Or you got to call your mom and have your mom say, son, it's just a football game. We're not feeding the world. People died in a hurricane, okay? Do your damnedest. Feel bad. Remember the feeling. Forget the game. And then go out and apply that to the other guy so they share in your pain from last week.
Gotcha. So the Buffalo Bills go from one hostile environment to another against one really good team to playing another really good team. I guess the last question I would ask you before I get us out of here is, what do the Bills, where do they start? Where does the work begin going into Houston for this team?
All right. So what I would say right now is offensively, we have to review the film as coaches and understand why Josh threw the ball away. Why, when he had protection, he had nowhere to go with it. That was a problem. I don't think they are game planning Kincaid to the best of his ability right now. We go to Keon Coleman because he big bodies and he creates separation. He did have one drop.
Right.
I'll give that to him. He's a rookie, but that's why we're going to him. That's why we need to go to Kincaid. We go to Shakir for different reasons.
Right.
But why did those reasons, why did the game plan for those in particular three guys not show up? We do need to block better on the pass. We had a couple of failures on pass protection. Not as bad as you want to think it is. There were some assignment errors by running backs as well in pass protection. We did have a few at the offensive line position. Too many for everybody, too many to go around. Defensively, we have to figure out a way to be stout earlier. It was one big-ass play, but that one big-ass play got them ahead of steam, sowed a lot of doubt into a defense that's been flying around. And injuries be damned. We got to line up and play with the guys that are there. They played really well. People can dog Jacksonville all they want, but there are good football players on that defense.
Yes.
And we clowned them. So figure out the game plan and what you have inside of you to make every play where you get open, or every play where you lock down a receiver, or every play where you fill the B gap and don't get pinned in the A gap.
Right.
That is what they have to investigate. I don't think that these guys came into the game thinking that Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens were going to lay down for them.
Right.
But they didn't get going fast enough, and they didn't either manufacture a feeling of confidence and apply it and make success, or didn't believe enough that they could do it.
Very good. John, great work as always. I'm going to get us out of here so you can make it off to football practice. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. What do we got? So tomorrow we got On the Beat. Jay Skursky from the Buffalo News is going to be joining us Wednesday, the Hump Day Hotline. Thursday, the Big O Show with Jerry Ostrowski. We'll bring you the preview and the first look at the Houston Texans game, and then If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo. And we will be back for a post-game show following the Texans game, 8 p.m. on Sunday evening. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at the Overreaction Sports Network, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Go Bills.
Go Bills, Joe.
Go Bills.